Okay, let's actually practice taking out the greatest common factor. So when you're asked to factor, the very first thing you want to do always is pull out the GCF. So I'm going to look at A, and I have 12BC minus 4BD. So first thing, let's decide what the GCF is. And the GCF of 12 and 4 is 4. And then the variable that they have in common is just a B. So that's what I'm going to pull out. And then whenever I pull out a GCF, the easiest way to show what we're going to do next is we're going to divide both terms by that GCF. So I'm going to divide 12BC by 4B, and I'm going to divide the negative 4BD also by 4B. So I'm pulling out that GCF, which means I have to take it away from these two terms. So let's go ahead and do that. And now we can write what we get when we divide. And here 12 divided by 4 is 3. B divided by B, those B's cancel, and you're just left with C, minus. Here the 4 B's cancel and just leave you with D. So that's factored. So let's do the same thing with B. We're going to first find the GCF, and the GCF of 15 and 5 is 5, and then the smallest exponent we have here is an x. So we're going to pull out an x, and then remember that means we're going to divide everything by 5x, so both terms. So I'm going to have 15x squared divided by 5x, and a positive 5x divided by 5x, so that we can see what we get when we do this division. So the 5x will stay out in front, and we're pulling out the 5x, and when we do that, the 15x squared becomes 3, and then x squared divided by x is just leaves you with 1x. This is where you need to be careful. Anything divided by itself is 1, so you shouldn't just put a parentheses there. You need to have a place of 1 there. That way, if you distributed this 5x through the parentheses, you would wind up with the answer you started with. If you didn't have that 1 there, you wouldn't wind up with that. Okay, let's look at C and do the same thing. The GCF of 56 and 35 is 7, and then the variable they have in common with the smallest exponent is x to the 5th. So let's go ahead and do that division. So 56x to the 5th y divided by 7x to the 5th minus 35x to the 5th divided by 7x to the 5th. When we do that division, remember your GCF has to stay out in front of the parentheses. It didn't go away. It's what we're pulling out. And we get 8y. The x to the 5ths cancel. I just left with 8y. Minus 35 divided by 7 is 5. And again here the x to the 5ths cancel. Okay, and the last one, 5x squared, 10x, and 15, the only thing they have in common is the number 5. That's the greatest common factor. But they don't have a variable in common because this 15 has no variable. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let's divide all three terms by that GCF of 5 because that's what we're going to pull out. And then we'll go ahead and write what we get when we pull that 5 out. And we're left with x squared plus 2x plus 3. And that's factored. That's all we can do. The last example says a company's revenue is given by r equals 2000x minus 2x squared. Factor this. So we're not solving, we're just pulling out the GCF. And the GCF of 2002 is 2. And then the smallest exponent is just this x to the first power. So that's what we're going to pull out. I'm going to go ahead and divide both terms by 2x. So I'll write that here. And when you do that division, we're going to get the 2x out in front, and then 2000x divided by 2x, the x's cancel, and 2000 divided by 2 is just 1000, minus 2x squared divided by 2x, the 2's cancel, and x squared divided by x leaves you just with 1x. And that's factored.